But our mission isn't what you might expect. It's not about adding more tools.
No, quite the opposite, actually. We're diving into this, well, pretty radical idea of intentional, minimalist self-improvement.
Exactly. A strategy focusing almost entirely on subtraction, on taking things away.
Which feels necessary, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a world obsessed with, adding more courses, more hacks, more everything.
Right. And these sources argue quite powerfully, I think, that real sustainable growth isn't about adding. It's what was the phrase? The elegant work of removing the non-essential.
Until just your core purpose is left.
Yeah.
Clear. Uncluttered.
And there's this central metaphor that just sets the whole thing up perfectly. It's unforgettable. We meet Elias, this old man walking on cliffs, always staring down at his feet.
Always searching. Looking for this incredibly heavy stone he knows he's carrying, but, well, he can never actually find it.
Because they're not a physical stone at all, is it?
Not even close. The sources say it's the sediment of regret, the inertia of old habits, and this really potent idea, the silent agreement.
That agreement. It's like this quiet, unconscious pact you make with yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, to live smaller. Smaller than you could.
Yeah.
Smaller than your potential.
So that's where this deep dive really begins. We need to shift our thinking, become like a sculptor.
Ah, I like that. Not building up, but chipping away.
Exactly. Chipping away everything that isn't the statue until only that intentional, powerful form remains. The weight isn't one big stone. It's all these little chains we barely notice.
Perfectly put. So let's get into how we start chipping away, starting with that first big hurdle. Inertia.
Yeah, inertia. It's not just like resistance. It's framed as the enemy of growth. We think failure stops us, but often
It's just the sheer size of the goal, right? It
Yeah.
feels overwhelming.
Totally. You look at the mountain peak way off in the distance and
Yeah.
you just freeze. You don't even start.
And that brings us to that great little story about Ben the hiker. Completely overwhelmed by the summit.
Right, until the shepherd gives him this incredibly simple piece of advice.
So simple. He says, you do not climb the mountain. You only take the step required to stand on that stone.
Just the next stone. Right there beneath your foot. That's all you focus on.
That's it. It reframes everything. The goal isn't the destination. It's just getting that tiny bit of initial push.
Psychological momentum. Which leads us straight into our first key action protocol. It's a twist on a classic.
The 2-minute rule, but refined. The
Yeah.
2-minute rule refined.
Yeah, and most people know the standard rule, right?
Yeah.
If something takes less than 2 minutes, just do it now, like a quick email.
But this version, it's different. It's specifically for the start, the initiation of a difficult habit, something big.
Okay, hang on. Let me push back a bit. If I want to write a book and the refined rule says my step is just typing the date,
Or just putting on your running shoes if you're training for a marathon, yeah.
doesn't that feel, I don't know, a bit like cheating? We're just lazy. We're aiming high, but settling for this tiny, tiny action.
See, that's the genius of it. The real barrier isn't running for 2 hours. It's the decision to get out the door.
Ah, okay. The mental fight beforehand.
Exactly. This refined rule guarantees an immediate win. You cannot fail to type the date. You cannot fail to put on your shoes.
So you sidestep the whole internal debate about how hard it's going to be.
You bypass the resistance. And once you've taped the date or tied your laces, the inertia is broken. Writing one sentence or running for 5 minutes suddenly feels much, much easier.
Okay, I see. Starting becomes the victory. It's about momentum, not motivation driving the train.
Precisely. And this idea of non-negotiable minimums, it carries through with the story of Cyril the Potter.
Ah, yes. The art of the non-zero day.
Such a powerful concept. Cyril's rule was all about consistency, not heroism. Never, ever allow a 0 day.
Even if you're sick, tired, uninspired, you do something.
The absolute bare minimum. Maybe just wiping down the pottery wheel. Or typing one awful sentence for your book.
It's proof of presence, right? It signals that this thing, whatever it is, isn't optional. It protects the streak.
Keeps the thread unbroken. You're reinforcing your identity as someone who shows up.
Okay, that makes sense. Consistency trumps intensity. Now, let's pivot. If we're showing up, we need our attention.
Which brings us to the second big area for subtraction. Reclaiming our attention. Because discipline is useless if your focus is just scattered, drained by noise.
Yeah, the sources are pretty blunt about this. They call all the constant input, digital chatter, news feeds, endless scrolling, a sophisticated form of evasion.
We're basically running away from the hard work of actual thinking.
There's that story about Sarah, the office worker. Her deep work capacity apparently doubled.
Only when the power went out. Forced silence. No screens, no pings, no notifications.
And in that quiet, she could finally hear, what was it, the subtle, persistent hum of her own thoughts.
Beautifully put. Clarity comes from output, and output needs space. If your attention is always fragmented, you can't create anything meaningful.
So minimalism has to start with attention. We need to become architects of silence.
And the tool for that, the 3-hour filter, this was pretty rigorous.
Non-negotiable periods where input is just strictly filtered.
3 key parts to it. First, kill all non-human notifications. Simple, but hard.
No pings, no buzzes, unless it's an actual person needing you.
Second, the one input rule. Stick to one task, one document, one book. No switching back and forth.
Oh, that's tough. We're so used to multitasking or thinking we are.
And third, all consumption must be active. If you read, you highlight or take notes. If you listen, you summarize or synthesize. No passive scrolling or just letting information wash over you.
Okay, that sounds incredibly challenging in, like, a modern office or just modern life. We crave that input, that feeling of being connected, aware.
Oh, absolutely. The sources acknowledge the anxiety this creates,
Hmm.
but they frame that anxiety as proof you're hitting the core of the addiction.
The payoff being you actually get your mental energy back.
Huge payoff. And this idea of subtraction, it goes beyond just digital stuff. It applies to our commitments, too.
Right, like Maestro Lena, the conductor. Her power wasn't just in the notes played, but in the silences between them.
The elegant refusal. She didn't put a note in just because she could. Constant availability, like constant noise, just dilutes your core purpose, makes everything weaker.
Which means we need the discipline of the deep light. Yes, this sounds paradoxical.
It is a bit.
Uh,
We think saying no is hard, but the real problem is often we don't know what we're really saying yes to.
So how does the deep yes work?
You have to define a single, super narrow, 2-word priority, like brutally narrow. Deep work, financial autonomy, core health, something fundamental.
Just 2 words,
Okay.
and that becomes your filter.
Yeah, absolute boundary, the priority filter. If any request, any opportunity, anything new comes along.
You ask,
Huh?
does this directly advance or preserve my 2-word priority?
Exactly. And if the answer isn't a clear yes, the default has to be no. And here's the crucial subtraction part.
Let me guess. No long explanations.
Precisely. A simple refusal. No apologies, no elaborate justifications.
Oh.
Thanks, but that's outside my core focus right now. Done.
You subtract the emotional labor of guilt and justification because explaining often signals weakness, like the no, is maybe negotiable.
Spot on. It protects your focus ruthlessly. Okay, so we've covered inertia and attention. Let's talk about the internal foundation needed for all this subtraction.
Which means moving beyond just willpower or motivation.
Yes. Trusting identity over motivation. Kalen Warrior nailed this. He called motivation a charming distraction.
Charming, but unreliable. Comes and goes like the tide, he said. You can't build on something so fickle.
Right. Real change isn't about, I want to be X. It's shifting to, I am X.
So Kalen wore this psychological mask, the one who does, even when he didn't feel like it. Tired, scared, lazy. Didn't matter.
The identity performed the action, not the feeling.
Yeah.
We need to define an identity that acts regardless of motivation.
And the protocol for that is the anchor identity statement.
Yes. Define your desired future self with 3 short, punchy I am statements. I am a writer. I am focused. I am consistent.
But the key is anchoring them, right? Tying them to something concrete.
Absolutely crucial. Anchor them to an existing routine. Like, I am the builder. After my first cup of coffee, I build for 50 minutes. The routine triggers the identity, which triggers the action, takes the daily decision-making out of it.
Automates the showing up part. Now, shifting to identity also changes how we see failure, doesn't it?
Radically. We treat setbacks like emotional disasters. But Chef Antoine, remember him, his soufflé completely collapsed.
Total disaster. But he saw it differently. Failure as fertilizer.
He said a total collapse isn't an ending. It's data delivered with drama. Clear instruction. Much more valuable sometimes than a soufflé that almost works, but you don't know why.
An imperfect rise hides the flaws. A total collapse points right at them.
So to handle this data, we use the 5X analysis protocol. The moment something goes wrong.
Treat it technically, not emotionally, like a scientist.
Exactly. Identify the single most likely technical reason for the failure. Just one. Then, figure out the single minimal change needed. That's your instruction. Commit to the next attempt immediately. Don't wallow. Implement the instruction and go again. Learn, adjust, repeat.
Which requires a different way of measuring success too, moving away from external validation.
Yes, ditching the fragile external metrics, praise, money, likes for an internal scorecard. Focus purely on what you control, effort and intent.
And the simplest way to track that, the daily self-tally.
So minimalist, so effective. Every evening, 3 yes-no questions. Did I build? Did I create something aligned with my goals? Did I subtract? Did I remove noise or distraction? Did I focus? Did I protect my attention?
And if it's yes to all three,
Then the day was a victory, regardless of the outcome. Sales fell. Doesn't matter if you build, subtracted, and focused. That's how you build resilience.
an internal foundation proof against external storms. Okay, final section. Let's talk about clutter in the process itself, like planning and research.
Ah, yes. The sophisticated shield against actually doing the work.
We all know that feeling. Like Elias the writer, getting lost researching brass door knockers instead of writing the scene.
It's so easy to do. The law of diminishing returns on research is key here. That first 10% of research, it probably gives you 90% of what you actually need.
Everything after that is often just avoidance. Procrastination dressed up as diligence.
So the action protocol is a strict budget, the 90-10 research budget. Mandated. 90% of your time must be for output writing, coding, building, whatever.
Only 10% max for research. And crucially,
It has to be just-in-time research. Only look something up when you hit a specific roadblock during the work. Don't know the door knocker.
just type brass door knocker and keep writing. Fix it later. Don't break the flow.
Exactly. Forces production. But subtraction also applies to the output itself, even good output.
Like Sarah, the screenwriter, deleting 40 pages of good writing. Painful, but necessary.
That's the law of the scrap draft. Keeping good stuff that doesn't really fit the core purpose, it costs more than deleting it.
Why? Because you end up twisting the whole project to justify keeping that non-essential part.
You introduce complexity to protect something that shouldn't be there. It muddies the water. You have to be ruthless, even with your own good ideas if they aren't essential.
Okay, one last form of subtraction, and this one feels different. It's not about removing tasks, but removing the expectation of constant productivity.
Right. Recovery isn't a luxury or a break from the work. It's part of the work. Like the farmer's fallow field.
Silas the farmer, letting a field rest intentionally, not neglect, but preparation.
Exactly. Growth needs cycles, action, then integration. You can't just harvest, harvest, harvest. You deplete the soil. You need to let potential energy build back up.
And the protocol for this is the fallow half day.
Designate one half day each week, maybe Sunday afternoon, where 0 productive tasks are allowed. Seriously, no chores, no errands, no quick email checks.
You actively subtract work to cultivate the capacity for work later.
You're tending the soil, preparing for the next harvest.
Wow, okay, so let's try and synthesize this. We've covered these core choices. Choosing the single step over the whole mountain.
Choosing silence over noise.
Choosing identity over motivation.
Choosing that ugly first draft over being paralyzed by perfection.
At its heart, this whole philosophy seems to be about replacing the old passive momentum of the past with conscious, active intention in the present.
Well said. And Elias, back in the cliffs. His final insight wasn't about finding one big stone to throw away.
No, it was realizing the weight came from thousands of tiny grains, distractions, obligations, commitments made to others before himself.
And the sources argue the most powerful growth comes from honoring the unspoken promise. The promise you make only to yourself.
That tiny, quiet commitment nobody else knows. Cleaning for 1 minute. Drinking 1 glass of water.
But you know. And when you keep that promise, with 0 external accountability, you build this incredible self-trust. Exponentially.
We wait for the big moment, the perfect plan, the audience. But the real starting point, the quiet catalyst, is already there.
It's already inside you.
Yeah.
The only work left now is to look down, see the next stone right under your foot.
And place your weight on it. Now go build.